Greetings exiles, and welcome back to the final episode of the Frostmage glacial cascade Elementalist. Last episode, we worked on making sure that Venarius' astrolabe would work correctly by obtaining all the influenced items we needed for it to work. And now the build is working solidly. However, when I was browsing POB one evening, I remembered that there was one more item that we were missing, and that item was going to throw a wrench into our plans. And what could that item be, you ask? Well, the Bound by Destiny unique jewel gives you certain stats depending on the amount of different influenced items you have equipped. Considering we already have a ton of influenced item requirements due to Venarius' astrolabe, the two have a lot of natural synergy together. So for the next step, we were going to need 6 Redeemer items, and due to me being a dummy and not remembering this earlier, I was going to have to recraft a lot of the gear we just made. Yeah, that wasn't my smartest move. And along with recrafting the items, we were also going to have to say goodbye to our belt and helmet and replace them with other items. So once again, let's get shopping and crafting, shall we? First things first, we pick ourselves up a new unique helmet called Crown of the Inward Eye. This gives us a lot of mana and energy shield, as well as some armor, but more importantly, it also gives us access to Transfiguration of Soul and Mind, giving us a lot of damage based on our increased mana and increased energy shield percentages. Finally, we also make sure that it is corrupted with a sock that skill gems get a 90% cost multiplier, so that we can reserve our auras easier. As for the belt, we pick ourselves up one of the new Court belt bases, grab ourselves a Redeemer Exalted Orb, slam it on the Court belt, and then we use an Awakener's Orb to obtain a double influenced Court belt with Redeemer and Hunter influences. From here on out, I spam Deafening Essences of Woe and try to get at least tier 1 mana along with some other useful mod like percent increased cold damage or damage with hits against shield enemies. Or you can do what I do and just annul Exalt until you eventually hit tier 2 mana and settle. Hey, if it works, I'm not complaining. We go back to our good old friend Prefixes Cannot Be Changed and Veiled Chaos Orb. And after blocking what you want, we hit the Unveil. We craft the energy shield per second regenerate mod, and then hit it with an Exalt and get quite lucky. Then we realize our resistances aren't capped, so we swap out the regenerate mod for our resistances, and we allocate the Dreamer node. On to the next part. For the rings, we will be doing the same thing, getting a Redeemer influence ring along with one of the other influences we need for Venarius' astrolabe to work. First one, we will go for a Elder Redeemer influenced Cerulean ring. To start off this ring, we will begin by spamming Caster Reforges in the Harvest Bench. Caster Reforges make the curse enemies with Frostbite on hit mod pretty common and quite easy to roll. Then all we want is 2 other suffixes that are quite good, and then we can move on to the next stage. If you guessed Suffixes Cannot Be Changed and Veiled Chaos Orb, you would be correct. We craft life to block the modifier from appearing and then unveil. For this one, we are hoping for the max mana and reduced mana cost of skills to pop up, but this could take a few tries. And on the 4th attempt, we finally succeed. We craft Maximum Energy Shield as a prefix, slap on some Fertile Catalysts for the increased mana, and there we go, the ring is finished. 1 down. For the second ring, we just need 1 more influence, as we have an Elder Ring, a Hunter Belt, a Shaper Shield, Crusader Chest, and we have Redeemer pretty much everywhere. All we are missing is a Warlord influence. Just like we did for the first time we crafted this ring, we're going to be using Essences of Desolation and trying to roll those +1s on Leash stacks along with some other useful mods. We're also looking for an open prefix so we can craft reduced cost of mana. We hit one with some pretty decent rolls, so I block mana and then slam it with an Exalt. And hit tier 1 fire resistance. Wonderful. All we have to do now is craft the reduced cost of mana skills and mana, Fertile Catalyst, and the ring is done. Nice. We now have the wand, amulet, 2 rings and a belt with Redeemer influence, and so only 1 more piece awaits us. The boots. We pick ourselves up a pair of Paladin boots with Redeemer influence, a random pair of Crusader boots, and we Awakener's Orb the both of them. We once again go back to my favorite essence, the Deafening Essence of Torment, and roll Shock Avoid on the boots. However, Crusader boots have a very funny mechanic where both the shock avoid from essences and the shock avoid from the Crusader mod are not mutually exclusive, allowing you to roll above 100% shock avoid on the suffixes. And in my case, you first try it while also rolling another good suffix, which was the goal here. And while I remain stun locked on the screen for a little bit, you can guess what we're going to do next. Correct, suffixes cannot be changed into Veiled Chaos Orb. We once again block life and then hope to unveil some kind of movement speed mod. However, after playing around with it a little, I decided that I wanted my Onslaught movement speed boots back, and so we go again. And there we go, after 4 attempts we finally hit the boots. And then to finish it off, we Exalt Slam and hit actually massive. Finish off the boots by crafting mana and life regen, and wow, just look at those boots. Finally, to round it all off, we buy ourselves a level 4 Frostmage, which is something I should have done a while ago, which gets us up to level 7 thanks to the amulet. Now I will admit here that I originally thought that the Bound by Destiny jewel and the +1 to cold was also going to work on Frostmage, pushing us to level 8. But alas, I can't read, so oops. On the screen now, I'm going over the final gem setup and the passive tree, in case you're interested. You can also find the path of building down below as well, along with various stages of progression for this build. I don't think this is a meta build in any way, shape or form, and I don't think it really compares to something like a Hierophant or some other kind of mana stacking version of this build. However, I had an idea, this was an experiment, and overall I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think my overall investment ended up being about 100 divines, and honestly, it was one of the better experiments that I've ever done, so I'm very happy. However, you're not here to listen to me drone on about my build, you're here to see explosions. And for one final time in this build, let's throw up a montage. And let's make it a big one, shall we? And with that level 100, this Zero to Hero experiment comes to a close. I think if I wanted to, I could definitely push this build further, but I also have some other ideas cooking that I would rather invest in. Besides, I think if you want to scale Frostmage further, it's probably easier to just play a mana man and actually scale mana. That said, the build had Herald of Ice, it had giant screen-wide explosions, it was pretty tanky, we could start playing this as an Elementalist, because I'm not a big fan of Templar, and overall, it pretty much met all of the requirements that I set out for it. I had an idea with Venarius' Astrolabe, and I think we succeeded. However, at the end of the day, this was just an experiment, and who knows what the next one will be. If you've made it to the end of this series, I want to sincerely thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the videos. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe as well. And until the next one, peace.